Can you move the line holding ballers? Hey, big plus something. Don't go there and go out. Up in on top, Nick. And straight. You come, huh?
Yes.
Okay. You brother belong in, man.
Yeah, sister belong me. Okay.
Okay. Papa God, me talk thank you long this day. Talk thank you, Lord, in the life you give him. Papa God, me ask him, you give him doctor good plus steer. Time me go on bottom, house sick. Now you give him me good plus steer. Time me flying ballers too. Papa God, me talk thank you. You Lucian picking any man blue, come down, now die like DY cross. Now come up again. Now give him life for me, now me all get. Papa God, me talk thank you. This day. Me ask him this lamb in the name of big man eat through. Amen.
Thank you.
I grew up in a pastor's family, one of 5 kids. When I was 13, we moved out to Santa Cruz, California, and my dad started running a homeless mission. And so having this opportunity as a teenager to go not just tell someone about Jesus, but actually do something tangible and give them food and clothes, a blanket, and do that in the name of Jesus. Not only give that to them, but also then have a chance to share why we're doing that. And that had a huge impact on my life. And then when I was 16 years old, I went down to Mexico to build houses with my church youth group. One morning I was doing my devotional, we're reading Psalm 139. I heard God speak to me and say, Mark, I want you to use your passion for people, for aviation, to share my love in a remote part of the world. Ended up going to Bible school when I was right out of high school back in Florida. Met a guy there who'd been born in Papua New Guinea. He's like, why don't we go back over together and see what it's like. New Guinea is the 2nd largest island in the world. Half of that is Papua New Guinea. Just that side of the island has 840 languages. It's considered one of the most remote places on Earth. There's 8 million people in Papua New Guinea. They're a young nation. They've only been a nation since 1975. So you have pockets of the country that is very modern, and then you have 80% of the country is remote. They don't have running water, they don't have electricity, they don't have the ability to get to a hospital or to go to a school when they pass the 2nd or 3rd grade. And so it's a nation with lots of challenges. In 1994, I found myself on the north coast of Papua New Guinea, living in a village, hearing stories of people living their lives, really subsistence living, trying to wake up in the morning, go fishing for breakfast, drinking dirty water, hearing stories of people dying, trying to get to the nearest hospital, and then also hearing stories of confusion about who God was, who Jesus is, what is grace, and just kind of this mix of some different stories they've been told, as well as a lot of animism. Seeing all of that and seeing this need medically, we came back from that trip and just felt like God had given us a roadmap and a vision for an organization that could go out and turn a 3-day trip to the hospital into a 1-hour flight and then share God's light to them. And so that's really where Samaritan Aviation came from.
Well, about a year before I met Mark, I was at Point Loma Nazarene University, and I felt the call to be in ministry, but I didn't know what that looked like. So I wasn't called specifically for anything, but just knew that I was called to be willing. So then when I met him, and then he said that this was his path and that, you know, we could just be friends if I wasn't feeling that same peace about going that direction, I was okay with it.
Yeah. She's good for anything. That's the one thing about her, is she's just up for whatever. And she has this unbelievable trust in God that if she's in His will, that everything's going to work.
The first time that we were able to actually touch down in Papua New Guinea as a family with the kids was so exciting. Wewak
is the capital of East Sepik province. It's really the place where there's the only hospital. And it also has a medical storehouse where you can get the medicine out to the remote communities. We were living in this tiny little place with, I think it was 500 square feet, a house. My office was on my own bed, and I had a foot between the bed and the wall. No air conditioning.
Yeah, it was hot and humid.
There was no backup power. It was just like but we didn't care.
When it was just us, I wore many hats. I was the ambulance driver and weather lady. Mark would call me from the plane sometimes and say, "What's the weather like?" And so if I couldn't tell from where I was, I had to get in the car and drive and just make sure there was a way through the clouds. I had to host different teams that came through or government meetings.
She'd show up with kids in tow, and I would take off again. She'd have a patient, 3 kids, because we were there by ourselves. We had no support initially, and she'd go to the hospital. The kids would be following her through this filthy hospital while she's trying to find a bed for the patient and talk to the doctor, and then she'd go back, teach homeschool.
And they'd come and do hospital ministry with us. And our kids have been able to do immunization outreaches and medicine deliveries. They've been a big part of every area that we've been a part of there. Chris and Sarah joined our team about 5 years into us being there, and it was such a blessing having them a part of our hospital ministry and just helping us get to the next level with immunizations. It really helped Mark and I just be able to focus on other areas. So it was such a difference once they came.
Yeah, Luke and his wife Tracy, she's also a pilot, and when they first came over, they were both flying for Samaritan Aviation, and now she's had 2 children, and so she's kind of slowed down on the flying side as she's become a mother. So they're a great family. They're both very capable, passionate people. Emil and Linus are 2 of our hangar staff. They're from the village near Samban out in the Sepik River. Great guys, and they've been with us over 10 years.
Yeah, so
we just got a call about a guy out in Corgu. Wednesday, he got his hand about completely cut off. It's just hanging on by some skin, and it sounds like he's getting gangrenous, like the hand is dead.
Just pull the tail around or just hold on to the wing too. New Guinea is an honor culture, and so many of our emergency flights are a result of tribal wars, and so you're dealing with machete wounds, spear wounds, slingshot arrows.
She said brother, but could be just anybody from the village. Got mad, fight, argument, took a machete basically and about lopped his hand off. More than likely, he'll probably lose his hand. Feels kind of cold and clammy. Not really good circulation there. He doesn't have any feeling there.
Fights will happen when someone is shamed. Whether it's someone celebrating too much after they won a volleyball game, or land is a big issue, a huge issue of land that's been passed down generation to generation to generation, and someone finding a disagreement. The thing about it, the eye for an eye culture, is once that starts, it's very hard to stop, because they don't go after the person that did the fighting. They'll go after anybody in the village, and so everybody is a mark. Everybody is scared. How do you describe grace to a culture where a gift is an obligation? They don't owe us anything but to get in the plane, accept the free gift, and I think that gives us a starting point to talk about what is grace, and in a culture where that doesn't exist, and where we don't deserve it, and what has Jesus done for us. And even when you can share Jesus and they accept that it's such a strong part of who they are from birth and from being raised up, that they're really quick to go back to it. And so that's an ongoing struggle with new believers as we continue to try to get their worldview to shift and see Jesus in the light of who he is versus mixing it all together with their past historical religious beliefs. So that's probably one of our biggest challenges as missionaries over there.
One of the hardest parts of being in ministry in general are really the expectations that other people have. What are the numbers? Like, how many have been led to Christ? We need exact numbers. And it's like, our role is to share Christ with them. And so it's really between them and God what their hearts are. So I think that's been the hardest thing for me with ministry is feeling that pressure of disappointing other people when really it's the focus on God should be where we are. Mark, he was out of town and asked me to make a call to the doctor to have his throat checked because he was having a hard time speaking. I was the one home and received the results, and when they told me that they were setting him up for the following week with an oncologist, I was like, wait a minute, that's the cancer doctor.
I asked her, in the middle of all of it, what's this like for you? Just the unknown of whether I'm gonna make it out of this. And she used to tell me, look, I live my life with you going on flights every day not knowing if you're coming back. It was kind of one more thing. It was like, okay, here we go, another journey. God's gonna have to come through here or he's got a better plan. So that's kind of how we faced it.
Yeah. The cancer journey for us was about 1.5 years, I believe, going through chemo and then radiation and just the healing after that.
The harder the times were over there, the more struggles we had, the closer we became to God and our relationship with Him, and that's really what grounded us, that's what got us through. The call keeps you there, the memories of God's faithfulness sustains you as well. And the need around you keeps you realizing that you're making a big difference. I feel like we've been a great team. We still are, just getting started, and so excited for the next 20 years.